When you launch Adobe Dreamweaver CC 2015 for the first time, this is what you're going to see. We have our lovely little welcome menu, and this is going to tell you what kind of new goodies you have, and you can click on any of these things and watch videos about how you do stuff. And you know, it's kind of cool, very educational actually. You can click Getting Started, and they'll give you tips on how you can get started, how to work with an HTML markup and CSS, all that type of things, tips and tricks. Or you can click this, and this is the traditional Dreamweaver setup, where you can decide what type of document would you like to open up. And your most recent files will show up over here. Notice your bootstrap templates are over here and ready to click and get started with. And that's it. So you can come in here. I keep this thing on so I can click here and make a new document. Or I can just dismiss the whole thing and make it all go away, which leaves me with this environment right here. What you won't see is I already have a site. This is my website, sillybilly.com, loaded up over here in the Files panel. Dreamweaver has really cleaned up the garbage that used to show up over here. It used to take a half an hour just to get rid of stuff that you would never use. But now, I'm going to say that this stuff over here is stuff that you will actually use. So from here you can create a new file or whatever. I just want to show you. I just want to show you what happens after you open a file in this Files panel, and we want to talk about this. What the next video is called Defining a Site. Defining a site in Dreamweaver is very important, and I have defined all of these sites. These are clients that I work with, projects that I'm working on. There's like 100 of them in here, and I can click any one of these, and it takes me to the folder where all of the HTML files, the images, the CSS folders, the PHP folders, the WordPress folders. And so I can just click a button and just go into a particular site and upload and download to the server. So our video called Defining a Site is very important. But once you define a site, then all of your HTML documents will show up over here. And I'm just going to double click this one so I can show you kind of what to expect when you open a file in Dreamweaver, and show you what some of these panels and all these little buttons are for. So here we go. It's opened my web page, and of course I can scroll down, see the page, and we have these options over here. First of all, when it opens a page, this page has CSS, 2 different CSS files attached to it, another CSS file attached to it, some JavaScript files, a PHP file, and I can click on any of these options and it's going to actually take me into the code so I can edit those codes, or click the source code button over here and see the source code. These 3 little buttons up here, very important. I have split mode. I can go into total code mode, or I can click total live mode. Rumor has it that this button here, design mode, which was pretty much, that was the only button that was there. Design mode live mode is actually connected to a browser, so it's showing you what the page is actually going to look like in a browser. Design mode is a real sketchy version of what your page looks like. They say that button will be gone in the next version. But anyway, so you can go from one of these to the other. I'm going to click the code button. The first time I opened code in this version of Dreamweaver, it didn't look like this at all. And I'm going to go into preferences on the Mac. You go Dreamweaver CC preferences. PC, you would go edit preferences. And code view, right here you go, code format. Or what is it? Code coloring. You can see, and here you go. Theme. When I first came in here, you're going to see, you might see some really wild stuff. I think it was a black background with yellow text and orange links or something. Some coders like that feeling of working in a dark room hidden away with some pizza or something. So I just went up here and went to classic, and that gives me a white background. I like a white background. It makes me feel bright and cheery. Something else you may want to do is when you initially look at your code in here, the text may be very small, almost illegible. So if you come down here to fonts, right over here where it says code view, then you can up your point size, and then you can actually see your code. I like seeing my code as opposed to working with that fine print kind of a situation. So there you go. So those little buttons. Let's go back into live view, and I can take this whole panel over here and drag it away. If I drag this whole panel over here, then I can see my full screen. And if I have opened a file with media queries in it, media queries, if you're new to that concept, you want to go down to our section on responsive, and or even just look at our media query video. But these media queries to breakpoints, I can click on any of these breakpoints and see actually how the page is going to look given that media query setup. Now, these are the panels. These are the default panels. And I'm going to say the file panel is very important. And I can select any of these HTML documents, double click, and they're going to open back here in the background. I can have as many as, I don't know. I've never reached the max as far as how many you can have open. But here with the files panel, any of these panels can undock by dragging over here. And we'll get to this in another title, but in the files panel, very important, this little button right here will expand the files panel. Then I'm looking at the local side, which is all the stuff on my computer. And if I click these two little buttons right here, it connects me to the server. We cover that in another title. And then all of my files on the server show up over here. And I can select my index file right here and click this little arrow, and it's going to upload to the server for the world to see all of my files. But anyway, the files panel is very important. Over here also, this insert panel. Notice the insert panel, and we've got all types of things that you can just double click and drop into your web page for forms, for bootstrap components, jQuery mobile, jQuery UI, other little insert things that you can drop into your code. I'm going to leave that at bootstrap elements. The very important Dreamweaver CSS Designer panel. We'll get into that into another title. The Assets Panel. The Assets Panel will show you all of your images, and which is pretty cool. All of the images throughout your site. You can just come over here and click on them, and scale that up, scale it down, and screenshots of goodies. That comes in pretty handy. I rarely use that. The Snippets Panel, and snippets are code things that you might use again and again and again, but you don't remember the code. Background, no repeat. And from time to time, Dreamweaver will pop up and say, hey, sync code snippets. Yes, I can sync my code snippets with all of my computers around my studio, but you can just click this and make that go away. So the CSS Designer panel, the Snippets panel for code, we have a whole section on the Snippets panel, entire video. And now my panels are all spread all over the place. I can close them all out. And notice this default button up here. These are the various layouts that you have, but I might just click Reset Default, and all of my panels come back to where I wanted them to be. Now, it may be that you'll fall in love with just a couple of these panels. Maybe you don't like these 3 panels, and I can come up here. I can right-click, close tab group, which leaves me with these 2 panels. Maybe they're my favorite panel, and if these are my favorite panels, I can go up here to New Workspace, and I'll call this Bill's Place. Click OK. And now I'm in Bill's Place, and if I close this panel and this panel, I go to lunch and I come back, and where are my panels? I can go to Reset Bill's Place. Here are my panels again. I'm good to go. Now, a couple of other little tidbits you want to know for getting around. This is a pretty reliable live view that we're looking at now. But if you want to preview in a different browser, this little globe down here, it'll pop up, and in my case it's popping down, but it's giving me the option to view in Google, Opera, Firefox, or Safari, and you can add browsers to your preview by clicking the Edit Browser List button. If you want to look at like the Inspect Element mode, I can click this little target button right here, and then as I hover over objects, you can see what it is, and this is really cool for the CSS Designer panel, which we will get into in another title. But as I hover over objects, it shows me the CSS selectors as I go from object to object to object. I mean, this is really cool. Okay, what else in here? This little red thingy down here means that I have errors in my code. So, and if I right-click that sucker, or better yet, I'll just click it, this will show me what lines of code that the errors are in, and I can quickly just go in and find the errors. Maybe I'll go to split mode, and if I double-click one of these little guys, it actually takes me right to that line of code. Now, you may notice that my code is on the left, my page is on the right, and you can come up here and you can turn this off. I have it set to view drop down menu, and I can change that and make it so that the page is split horizontally so that the code is up here, and then I can go view split vertically. Okay, so it's all up to you, and you can have the code on the right or this over here on the left. All of these are I find them to be very handy features. Something this is new to this version of Dreamweaver, and this is the DOM, the DOM panel, and that's new to Dreamweaver, and this shows all of the elements in your page, and whatever you click on, it will expand and show you, like, these are the elements in my head tag. I can click on the body, and these are the elements in my body tag. I have all the stuff in the pages in my wrapper, and like whatever I click on, it will expand, give me information about the selector. I can change stuff. Now they want to show me some examples here. But and you can actually drag these DOM elements around and reposition them in the page. That's totally new to this version of Dreamweaver. So those are just the down and dirty basics of what we'll be working with as we go through the series, the various panels. One panel that Dreamweaver in this version is not really pointing to that much is this panel here. All panels are found by going Window, Panel Name. And up here is the Properties panel, which, gosh, I mean, it's like it was around. The Properties panel has been around forever. And in the Properties panel, there are things that you used to be able to do, and they've like, you can come in here and change the classes and stuff. But this panel used to be how Dreamweaver ran through the Properties panel. But it's not even. This tells you where Dreamweaver's going. It's all about code and live view. But the Properties panel, I wonder if it'll even be around in the next version of Dreamweaver. So here, that's a little preview. Also, in another title, this little doohickey down here, Device Preview. This little arrow here will, if you click on it, it will show you all of your media queries. But this little doohickey right here, the television screen, is really cool. You click that, and it takes a little while to load. But after this little thingy does its thing over here, it should show me a QR code. I can take a picture of it with my phone, and then this page will show up in my phone, which is pretty cool. I'm having a little problem with that right now. But anyway, there you go, opening Dreamweaver for the first time. There are your panels. There's how you change your code size, split, live mode, clicking on your media queries to get around, changing the font size of your code, and how to set up your own workspace and reset the workspace to bring the panels that you will come to love and enjoy back to where they were.